All right, good evening and welcome. It is Radio Biafra, and of course, it is Motherland. And I am grateful and happy to welcome you this evening. My goodness me, it is indeed a wonderful day. Today is the first day of the month of March 2022, the year of our Lord. And of course, we thank God because we are alive this evening. To be alive, of course, it is by the grace and mercies of Chukwu Okike Abiyama. And I must encourage you, of course, to be grateful to God for his doings in our life. The time here is 36 minutes past the hour of 6 p.m. in the evening. And of course, if you are listening from Biafra land, it should be the same minutes past the top of the hour, 5 o'clock to be precise, in that holy land of Biafra. My name is Mazi, Ikechukwu, Onuoha. And this evening is going to be great, I tell you, because I have my namesake. My namesake will be joining me. I prefer to call him Ikechukwu, Haki Kweli Shakur, all the way from America. He is a Biafran, for goodness sake. He is an Igbo descent. He knows his culture. He practices Omenala. What can you ask of this young man? He is preaching this good news, of course, on the social media. He is not afraid. He speaks it the way it is. And this evening, he will be joining me, of course, so that we can have a heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul interaction like brothers and talk about things that pertains Biafrans and, of course, African Americans in the United States of America. You must understand, as you are fighting for your own freedom to restore Biafra, they are also fighting because they are not free. Some of you might think, oh, because he lives in the United States of America, he is happy. No, freedom. Without freedom, you are not happy. It does not matter whatever it is that you are enjoying. Freedom is the most important thing. And of course, it is your fundamental human right. And this evening, he will be joining me so that we can take a look on what is happening. And I remember in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, that is when he was baptized and he took a name. And that name is Ikechukwu. And it means returning back to the roots. He need to come back to where he belonged. And that's why he took his ancestral name. Now, taking up that ancestral name is very significant. As soon as he takes up that name, it changes everything about him. It changes the whole dynamic. It means he is connected to motherland. So this evening, he will be joining me. But of course, before we do that, I'm going to say a short word of prayer. And then after that, we must continue. Of course, we know about the war that is raging in Ukraine and Russia. They are talking about it. The whole social media is going agog about the killings happening in Ukraine. Now, I respect human life. I have no problem, with the social media talking about Ukraine. But I'm asking a question. What about my people? My people are being killed every day, every second. Somebody is being killed in Biafra land. Homes are being raised on fire. And no social media talks about it. No social media talks about it. And you are here telling me about Ukraine. Tell me about Biafran child that is being slaughtered. I want to hear about that. I'm sick and tired of hearing Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine, Russia. You know what? I don't want to sound ugly, but I must tell you, I want to talk about my people. I want to talk about Biafrans. I want to talk about Africans. That is what I am interested in talking about. All right, we must continue. My name is Mazi Ikechukwu Onuoha. I hail from a place called Onuoha in Olo province of Biafra. In case you don't know the meaning of Onuoha, Onuoha means the children of light. Omo is children. Owa is light. Unbelievable. Can you imagine people answering that? That shows you who we are. We are the children of light. We are the lighthouse of Africa. We are the lighthouse of Africa, that light that illuminates all over the world. And that tells you why they don't want us to shine, because they know we are the light. But of course, whether they like it or not, our freedom is not negotiable. I was in the British Embassy or High Commission last week in Western Cape. I was preaching. The British High Commission refused to come and see us. When he eventually came out, I told him straight up, I told him all the evil that they have committed against my people. I don't care. I don't need nothing from a British. I need nothing. I told him, we don't need nothing from you. We only come to put you on notice. You know, people believe when you see, you know, a white man, when you see the colonial master, you must go on your knees and then you will get what you want. But let me ask you, since we started this struggle, who have helped us? Absolutely nobody. We've been doing it on our own. It is time for you to understand that your freedom is in your hand. Only you can give yourself freedom. Trust me when I tell you. Only you can fight your way to your freedom, if so be it. So when I go to the British Embassy, American Embassy to protest, I'm not going there to beg for my freedom. I'm only going there to tell them what I'm going to do. So that when I start doing it, they mustn't say, but why didn't you tell us? So now I am telling them, and I'm putting the whole world on notice, that we will take what belongs to us, what is rightfully ours, in our own hands. All right, Father, we thank you this evening. We give you all the praise. We give you all the glory as we have gathered on this platform. We say that Biafra is our religion. And on this radio, Biafra is where we worship Chukwu. And we have gathered this evening to do the needful, and that is to worship Elohim. Father, we ask you to come and take control. Father, we pray that Biafra will come. We pray that the killing will stop. We pray that if we have to fight, so be it. If we have to shed down our blood, so be it. But at the end, Biafra will come. We pray for our leader, Lord, wherever he is. He will be released unconditionally, and he will lead us into that promised land, Biafra. Father, this and more we pray in the name of Chukwu Kikabiama. Ise.
Get it online on your mobile. This is IPOB Community Radio. This is Motherland.
All right, this is Motherland, and of course we have prayed. We must continue. Let my brother in. It is time for us to get cracking. It is time for us to get talking. Good evening, Mazi Ikechukwu. If you can hear me or if you can unmute and talk to me. Mazi,
Yes,
can you
can
hear me?
me?
Yes, please talk. I'm listening.
Oh, Freedom Land, revolutionary greetings, brother.
All right,
I
let's
appreciate
get this sorted out. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I just want to make sure that Biafrans are also hearing you. Very, very important. All right, good evening, Mazi, and welcome. This is Radio Biafra. I can't remember the last time we've spoken. I think it's almost a couple of years back. How you doing?
Everything is well, my brother. Everything is well. Yeah, it's been a couple of years so far since the last time we talked, though. But I'm doing
Yes,
well. I hope all is well.
thank you very much. And how's the name Ikechukwu doing? Is it still holding up?
Yeah, yeah, man. It's holding up well, man. It's a lot of people here in America love that name. So, when I hear people call me by that name, man, it's powerful. So I truly appreciate the baptism.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, it is the right thing. Giving you that name, I must tell you, was to hook you up to motherland Africa. You understand? So when you come back home, you need to take everything that concerns you, everything that links you with your ancestors. And that is when you can now say, I am back home. And I must tell you, I am proud of what you're doing, practicing Omenala, which is, of course, our tradition as well. And of course, do you have Ishiago? Do you know what is Ishiago? The clothing that have
The
a head
clothing.
of lions.
Yeah, I don't have the Chicago, but I have the headwear. Like I have
Yeah,
most of the headwear.
you need to get Ishiago. Very, very important, Mazi. You need to get Ishiago because
I'm definitely working on that. I'm working on that.
great stuff, great stuff. All right, Mazi, let's start. I don't know. Let me find out if the people can hear you very well. I don't know. Please, if you can hear my guess, I need you to indicate. Otherwise, if we are not hearing him, then I can do something about it. But for now, I haven't got any complaints. So I guess you are coming out loud and clear. So let's proceed. Mazi, what have you been up to lately? I know it's been a while we've spoken. What have you been doing lately with regards to the freedom of your people?
Yes. Over the last 2 years, even during the pandemic, which kind of like, you know, slowed certain things down, as far as my work, but it didn't slow me completely down. But like I said, I'm a conscious New African citizen. I'm a conscious citizen of the Republic of New Africa, and 2 years ago, I took the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs within that organization, within that provisional government. So a lot of my time and work has been learning that position, working in that position, and you know, um, helping my people, come into this struggle of the New African Independence Movement, um, educating people about the Biafran struggle and the New African Independence Movement struggle at the same time. So that's been where most of my time has been spent over the last 2 years ago. Is just mainly, getting myself acquainted with this new position within the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. And also, I'm still doing my other work as well, as far as the work with the history, the spirituality, and things of those natures. That's my passion. I'm always do those things. But my main thing right now is just the agitation, what I'm saying, for the New African Independence Movement and the Biafran struggle.
All right, that's beautiful. I love that. Now, Mazi, tell me, because as you can see, what is happening in Biafra land already. The Fulanis have entered into Biafra. I like to say Fulanis because this is not a unanimous, okay? It is one tribe. Because of their hatred for my people, they have descended in our land, and what they do now is they kill people, they abduct people, and they bomb down the houses. I'm sure you have seen a lot of footage and what is happening in our land. I don't know what is your take on that.
Yeah, my take on that is I've definitely been following, and I'm definitely updated on the situation on what these Fulani herdsmen and what they're doing. And yes, I've been seeing them. Matter of fact, recently they just ran into Biafran citizens' homes and are still abducting people and kidnapping people. And that brings me to my point is that, with everything that's going on within the world, I just want people to understand not to get distracted on what's, trying to take you away from what's really going on with our people. People get, our people get distracted real fast when it comes to European conflicts and European problems. So it's like, just the other day, these people, the Fulanis ran into some Biafran people's, homes, kidnapping, destroying their homes, abducting people and things of that nature. So my thing is that we need to focus more on those things and put the light on that with the same energy that you put on these European nation conflicts, because these are our brothers and sisters. These are our people that's being, murdered, kidnapped, by the federal government of Nigeria's DSS force, who have been doing this over, the last 5 years. Like I'm just using that as short term. Over the last 5 years, they're still continuing to get away with these terroristic acts as nothing is being done about it. So, at this point, I really don't know what to say about it. It's just to, keep bringing awareness to it. And, we, especially my brothers and sisters in America, this message is basically for y'all. You gotta learn about these things and put your focus on these things to understand that our brothers and sisters and our focus should be on Africa. It should be on the terroristic acts that's going on in Nigeria, because these are things that are going on every day. It's no skippage. There's no skippage throughout the week. It's day, night. monthly, yearly, that these things have been going on. And we need our brothers and sisters in America to get on board, because these same things are happening to us in America. So we should be feeling sympathy and bringing awareness to our issues with our motherland. Like you said earlier in the broadcast, yes, we understand that we should be compassionate to all human terroristic issues and wars and conflicts and things of that nature. But I want our people to focus on our issues, because these people want us to get lost and to deflect away from what's going on within our motherland, within our brothers and sisters. So yes, I've been paying total attention to what's going on in Nigeria, and I'm raising awareness as much as I can.
Thank you. If I may ask you to maybe up your volume, or maybe come closer to your mic so I can get more audible volume. Very important. All right. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you know what? I don't know. When you go to social media, everybody's saying, pray for Ukraine, pray for Ukraine. I'm like, hell, I'm not praying for any Ukraine. I have to pray for Biafra. My people are dying and nobody's talking about it. So why should I pray for Ukraine? It is very sad that people are dying, because life is life. But what about Biafra? How many times had the UN called an emergency session to discuss about what is happening in Biafra land? How many times have you heard on CNN while in the US where they're talking about Biafra? They barely talk about it. The only time they talk about Biafra is when they want to talk down on us, when they want to talk about the secessionists, give us all that bad names and what have you. But it's quite unfortunate that we Africans did not realize that our freedom is in our hands. It's more like, Africans, you are on your own. You got to do it for yourself. But people are busy focusing, on what is happening in Ukraine. I mean, do you know, lately I heard that most of the African descent were not allowed to cross from Ukraine to Poland during this struggle. They were turned back to go back to Ukraine, where the bombs are happening. They only allow the Ukrainians to go through. And somebody sitting back in Africa praying for Ukraine. I'm like, are you really okay? So I'm just adding my voice in what you are saying. And I want you also to emphasize, because there is this mindset and belief that one day, maybe United Nations will come and give us Biafra, or maybe some nation from wherever will pop up and give us Biafra. If they come, I'm happy, I'm all for it. But I'm not counting on that. I am not counting on that. I believe that if I have to give my life to get my freedom, so be it. Because at the end of the day, it is my freedom. So I want you to educate our people. Tell them that Africans, we are on our own. And this is something we must do for ourselves and our children and our next generation. If we don't do it, trust me, we are not getting out of Nigeria anytime soon. Please go ahead.
Yes, you made excellent points. Um, I would start off like this. The first thing people got to understand as African people and Africans across this global world community is that you got to understand what is freedom. Because a lot of people use this terminology, right? And they do not know the true definition of what freedom is.
Oh.
Too many Africans, too many Black people across this planet think freedom is just this terminology that you accept anything, and that's supposed to be what freedom is. See, the first line of liberation is making African people understand what is freedom and what does freedom look like. You see what I'm saying? And I will use this as an example. Ukraine and the Russian conflict. What do you think that these two nations are actually fighting for? You know what I'm saying? There's components to warfare. There's components to conflict. There's reason why nations have conflicts. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's we can throw that. We can say that it's the colonization of our people for sure. So many Africans have been colonized that they don't understand freedom. is something that you have to struggle to fight for, and many of our ancestors have died for. And what is freedom? Freedom is the basis of controlling your own destiny. Control over your own people. Your people have their own control of their government, their economics, their political system, their culture, their free practices of spirituality, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? For a personal human being or a personal citizen. So first, we got to understand and teach our people what freedom is, because like Baba Malcolm X said, certain people shouldn't use the word freedom if you're not prepared to die for it. If people understand that, because freedom, even for my people in America, they don't understand the concept of what true freedom is. So this is why the struggle with our people still going on inside the Empire of the United States of America is at a standstill. This is why we're not free in America, because blacks in America, new Africans in America, don't understand what freedom is. Period. They think freedom is integration. And I'm just using that as an example for black people in America. They think these small gains and these band-aid victories is freedom. No, that's not what freedom is. Freedom is when you have your own land. You know what I'm saying? Your own identity, your own nationality. You see what I'm saying? That's what freedom is. So we gotta educate to liberate people's minds first, because people gotta understand the revolution starts with your mind first. So if they can't liberate their mind to understand what freedom is, then they're not going to fight for it. They're not going to die for it. They're going to still be praying for Ukraine, praying for European nations, praying for I hate to use the terminology, but praying for white people's problems and issues. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why over the last couple of days, like you were saying, like how these Africans all across the globe are saying, pray for Ukraine, pray for this and pray for that. Why don't you pray for your own people that's being slaughtered every day by your government? You know what I'm saying? And a prime example is the incompetence of the federal government of Nigeria. Now we have brothers and sisters that's in Ukraine who's being discriminated against, treated horribly, human rights being violated. And what is the federal government of Nigeria doing for these brothers and sisters in Ukraine? Nothing. How does a government that has this much power and wealth, you know what I'm saying? You can't even get your own citizens out of a racist country. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know the mind state and the reality of what Africa is right now to the world. Right now, the world doesn't respect Africa. European nations don't respect Africa. So this is something that we have to, I swear, man, we have to struggle and fight to change this narrative. And we have to struggle against, neo-colonialism. We have to struggle against the black people in Africa who are puppets of these European nations, of NATO, of the UN, of the European Union, who are not our friends. Black people, new African people, African people, we have no friends. This is something you have to get in your mind state. Because if we had friends, the things that have happened to Africa for over damn near 400 to 500 years wouldn't have never happened if we had friends. If we had friends, what's going on in Nigeria wouldn't be taking place to Biafran people, Igbo people. You see what I'm saying? The things that's going on in Cameroon and in other places in Africa wouldn't be going on if we had friends. African people, we do not have friends. This is why we must unify with each other. The righteous brothers, the righteous sisters across this world who are fighting for the total liberation of Africa. We must come together.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I'm just thinking out of the box. It is rare for you to see an African tribe, people asking for independence. It don't usually happen. So it get me thinking why our quest for freedom is becoming, like a bit of difficult. Because in their mind, they're like, who the hell do you think you are asking for your freedom? Do you understand? To them, you don't have to. You know, the mindset of slavery and what have you. And now look at this African asking for freedom. Is it a question of, colonial supremacy because Britain allowed Scotland opportunity for a referendum? But when it comes to Biafra, referendum becomes an abominable
Mm-hmm.
word. Who told you to say that? You know, but Scotland will have a referendum very quietly. Even Britain will be clapping for them as they go into the polls for the referendum. But when it comes to Biafra, what is it? What is the problem? I need to understand. Why is our quest for referendum more like we are asking for war, or maybe we are not qualified as a human to ask for referendum? Can you just, I'm just thinking out of the box. I don't know why, but it gets me thinking, because if Scotland can freely conduct their referendum without any bloodshed, what about Biafra? What's different about us? Please go ahead. Enlighten me.
Yes, yes, that's a great point, and that's something that I've been moving more towards in the last year or so, by me taking this position as the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Provisional Government of the Republic of Africans. This word independence is just like the word freedom. African people have been so colonized by Europeans that these terms have been translated to us not to be meant for us. This is how they indoctrinated us. Independence is not for you, it's for us. That's how the Europeans have translated through this mind wash of colonialism. Is that when it comes to independence, when it comes to nationhood, when it comes to sovereignty, land, and all these things, and it's crazy because these are things that we created as an ancestral ancient people. These are concepts that came from our ancestors. But but it's not crazy. It's strategic warfare on how the Europeans took these terminologies and twisted them around to make African people fear these terminologies, and to make African people like, no, you can't fight for that. That's not for you. If you do it, you're going to be deemed a terrorist. You're going to be deemed a secessionist, a separatist. You see how they flip these terms? They take these terms and turn them into negativity when it comes to people of so-called color, of melanated skin and things of these nature. African people, black people, brown people, Chicano people, any people of color across this planet. When it comes to referendums, plebiscites, political terminologies, and things of these nature, the white man has colonized our people, unfortunately, to fear these terminologies. It's the fear. That's the number one strategic mechanism of colonialism, imperialism, is fear. They have to put some kind of type of fear in your people in order to control them. You can't control a people that has no fear. So these political terminologies are based on fear when translated to African people. So now you got African people all across the globe, Biafra land, the southern states of the United States of America that's fighting for independence. When we bring up independence, oh, black people, they run from it. They be like, oh, what are they talking about? Are they terrorists? No, we can't have independence. No, no. But the sad thing about it all is this, my brother. They're only taught one side of the history, one narrative of our history. They don't realize the other side of our history of freedom fighters, of people who died for freedom, people who fought against oppressors, people who fought against invaders. They don't want to learn about that history. They run from it. They don't want to teach their kids about it. They don't want to teach their families about it. And that's why we are at this standstill, whether on the continent or the African diaspora, because so many Africans in the world are so colonized. So if we can liberate these people to understand that no, independence is something that you and your ancestors, this is a birthright. Come on, brothers and sisters. This is your birthright. This is our blood right. We came into existence this way. It's a term that I use. We are nationalistic by nature because this is a birthright. This is something that we brought into existence. The white man got all of these terms from our ancestors. So why do you fear it?
This is modern.
All right, it is Motherland. And of course, if you are joining us this evening thinking, what is happening here? I've got my brother, a namesake for that matter, Ikechukwu Haki Kweli. He is here with me live all the way from United States of America. He is of Biafran descent. In case if you are wondering why he talked the way he is, that's how we do it. I mean, if you've got the blood of my people in you, you gotta do like your people. You don't even need to go for a DNA. Just the way you do it shows you who you are, because this is how we are doing it. Now, still on that, are we a threat to the Western world? I'm talking Biafrans. What is it that they see in us that scares them away, that they make them don't want to give us independence? For me, I felt we are more like the savior Africa is waiting for. I'm talking Biafra here. Because trust me when I tell you, the intellectuals, the dynamite that we have in Biafra is too much. So, what is it about us that scares them away? Because it's not only about, why should you a black man talk about freedom or what have you? Because when other people talk about it, I mean, like Sudan,
Yeah.
Britain knows everything. They look at you, they look at your people, they can understand what you can and what you cannot do. Why was it easy for them to allow Sudan? But when it comes to Biafra, because remember, we have a history with the British, and the history goes way back. As a matter of fact, the Queen of England knows too much about me and my people than we know ourselves. So, in case you are thinking that, oh, they don't like us, blah, blah, yes, they don't like you, but it goes way back. What is it about us? Talk to me about Arochukwu. Maybe it will give us a hint of why they are really, really scared about Biafra independence. Please go ahead.
Yes. Because it goes back to what you just stated minutes ago. They know that African people, because this is a global thing. People got to understand it. This is a global struggle because the children of Africa is scattered across this planet. So they know that if there's a righteous, free African nation on the continent, and they have control of their own resources, their minerals, their economy, and things of this nature. They know if any such nation rises up against their imperialism and the way that they are controlling Africa and things of this nature, then they know this will automatically be a problem for white people. And I'm saying that literally, this is a problem and a threat to white people because if there's a free African nation on that continent, or more than one free African nation on that continent, that's like Biafra, for example. If we have these nations on this continent, then they know it's a threat to their global dominance, their global supremacy, their global control. Because once a nation like Biafra is free, now you have Africans across the world who can use Biafra as an example to fight for their freedom wherever they are. So now you're going to have a bunch of African people across the globe uprising and taking back what was their birthright, which is independence, land, sovereignty, nationality, nationhood, and all these type of things. But the most important thing of it all is that it's the resources. You see what I'm saying? Biafra is rich in resources. We know this from the Civil War. We know this is a major reason why, that Civil War and the way it went and why the British don't want Biafra land to rise is those resources and those other European nations, as well as America. Because a lot of people like to leave the United States out of the Biafran and Nigerian conflict. People don't realize there were American oil companies there too. You know what I'm saying? During that conflict. And America was as much behind the scenes playing their imperialistic role as British, because people got to understand Britain and the United States of America are one entity. They are brothers. Those are brother countries.
Sure.
One can't exist without the other. One came into existence because of the other. So it's like we can't leave them out either. So free Biafra land will also be a threat to the United States of America that the world deems this great democracy this great empire, this great nation that's the greatest nation of all time, and colonize people's minds. You see what I'm saying? So if we get a free Biafra, trade, let's put that in the picture. International trade, the dollars, we have our own money. They don't want African people to have their own nothing. This is what people got to understand. They don't want you to have nothing. They want you to be their servants, their slaves, living under their economic systems, doing trade under their rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, so much things will manifest from a free Biafra. That's why they don't want Biafra to get a referendum, just a simple referendum, simple plebiscite. And to your point with the Sudan, when they do give certain countries, and I'm gonna say this literally, when they do give certain countries permission to have a referendum or a plebiscite,
Like
remember what I said. They're giving them permission. So when you see a country like Sudan or any country that's giving a referendum, and these Europeans are in agreement with them letting them have a referendum, best believe that's not the freedom that they should be seeking, because we know they have now been been sabotaged. It's not even a real referendum. It's not even a real plebiscite, because you got the Europeans in your business and they're controlling it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they give these certain countries these referendums, because they're getting something out of the deal, which is something that's been going on ever since the struggle of African nations in the 60s. Like, a lot of these countries were given independence. They were given permission to have independence. They didn't take their freedom. You see what I'm saying? That's why they're still being in this, they're still in this colonization today, this neocolonialism today, because they were given freedom. It's something that I always say before I finish. Emancipation and liberation are two different things, brothers and sisters. Emancipation is given to you, meaning that you have to follow the rules of those people who deem freed you. Liberation is something that you take. Whether you die for it, whether you struggle for it, whether you get incarcerated for it, it's yours because you took it.
wow, wow. I love what you said. I think you've answered my question. Biafra is more like the key to unlock Africa. And as soon as Africa is unlocked, we take everything that belongs to us. And the oppressors knows that. But some of us don't even know that. And this is why
Right.
they are stopping Biafra. Now, if you look in Nigeria, an Igbo man cannot even be allowed to be a president. A Biafran cannot even be allowed to be a president. Then you ask yourself, why? What are they afraid of? It's not them. It's the colonial master who tells them, don't you allow them, because allowing them to be president probably might lead to secessionism or probably separation from the country.
Yeah.
So therefore, cage them and don't allow them to be free. I like what you said as well, because there's a word that says freedom is not given. Freedom is taken. You need to take freedom from the oppressors. And I keep telling people, I know where this will end. I know. It's just a matter of time. Because, it comes to a stage whereby people will say, enough is enough. And not until then, trust me when I tell you, and nothing is going to happen. All right. Thank you very much for saying that. And I really appreciate that. Now, let's turn back to you. We've talked so much about Biafra because I know you are also on something. You are also agitating for something. Talk me through. Talk me through. Why do you want liberation from America?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. Because again, it goes back to what I stated. It's a birthright. People got to understand the transatlantic slave trade and the slave trade period was an act of war. See, people try to revise history and try to put history in their own translations from their oppressors, from the Western educational systems, which we know don't have our interest and not going to tell us the truth about our story and our history and what these things truly mean. The transatlantic slave trade was an act of war, period. Those brothers and sisters they took out of Africa, period, were political prisoners and prisoners of war. Those were acts of war to people who have common sense. You know what I'm saying? Now, when they brought those ancestors here to America, what were they doing on the boats? You see what I'm saying? Matter of fact, before they even got on the boats, what were these brothers and sisters fighting against? They were fighting to protect their independence, to protect their freedom, to protect their lands. When they got on the ships, they rebelled, fought back. They jumped off the ships and all these type of things in rebellion because they didn't want to become slaves. So when they got to America, what do you think that these same brothers and sisters were doing when they got to America?
Just one
Fighting.
second. Just 1 second. Bob Marley said, Buffalo soldier, fighting on arrival, fighting for survival. I got you. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Exactly. So when we get on this land, people got to understand it was a warfare on this land because there were nations already on this land, indigenous people, nations already on this land. So when we got on this land, the whole time our ancestors were trying to get back to Africa. People skip this history. They try to leave it out. They were trying to get back home. This is why they were fighting back, shooting back,
Sure.
and doing everything they possibly can to get back to their land because they were in a new land, a foreign land that they don't know nothing about. So during those periods of time of slavery on American soil, this same struggle never disappeared. Never. It was independent communities, independent settlements, independent communities being set up all across America by black people who couldn't get back to Africa. Because hell, these ancestors said, look here, if I can't get back to Africa, I'm going to create my Africa right here. When I create it here on American soil, I still don't want to be a part of the European system. I don't want to be a part of the British. I don't want to be a part of the Confederates. I don't want to be a part of the United States of America because these people kidnapped us. You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't want to be citizens of your nations. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a part of it. So they fought and died and continue to fight and die. You know what I'm saying? For this birthright, which is independence on this soil. Now, to make it make sense to brothers in Biafra land and people across the world who don't understand why black people, or should I say a certain segment of black people in America want independence on American soil, is because they owe this to us. This is something, because who built America? The white man. The white man didn't even know how to grow rice. He didn't
For
even
sure.
know how to grow food. He didn't know how to do none of these things. So the economics you see today, everything you see today was built by our ancestors on this soil. So they took land from us, they killed us, even land that we obtained during slavery. They stole that from us. They took it from us and gave it to white people. You see what I'm saying? So when we're saying that we want independence on this land from America, that's a birthright. That's something that's a struggle. That's reality. That's history. You have to go do the research and stop being brainwashed by this one-sided history. And even the great general Ikechukwu, he spoke of this in one of his writings. He said there were brothers and sisters in the Western Hemisphere. He even knew who Nat Turner was, the Great Slave Rebellion League. Ikechukwu said there are brothers and sisters in the Western Hemisphere that are fighting for a Biafra land in the Western Hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? So all these things is not by coincidence. You see what I'm saying? So out of those ashes, like the Phoenix rising, this is where the new African independence movement come from in the 1960s. And it's crazy because around the same time Biafra was fighting their civil war, there were brothers and sisters here starting their own government on this land, which is the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. And I asked brothers and sisters across the world to research the Republic of New Africa. Because when you research it, you're going to be like, oh man, this reminds me of Biafra. I didn't even know these brothers and sisters were over there fighting for something like that on that land. You know what I'm saying? Because they think all black people are acceptance of American citizenship, of being Americans. That's not true. That's not even half of our struggle.
Beautiful. All right. Now I want to ask you something, because you need to sell this to your fellow African American, okay? You
Right.
need to sanitize them to understand, because what you just explained now, it makes sense. It makes perfectly sense. Now remember, even the United Nations Charter for the Right of Indigenous People, it gives right. I'm talking about chapter 1. It says that every indigenous person have the right to self-determination. And nobody can tell you otherwise. The only thing they can do is to reduce it to a referendum and let the people speak. Now, I want to know, how are you going about educating fellow Black Americans, in the US? Are they buying into it? What is their mindset with regards to that, and how far are you with that?
Yes. Like I said, over the last 2 years, that has been my basis of my education and educating brothers and sisters, and even the young generations are coming behind me, because we definitely got to make this an emphasis on the younger generations, because there's a lot of older generational people who are too stuck in their ways, and they're not really going to even try to even give that attention, those type of things, when it comes to independence referendums and things like that. So my main focus have been the youth, because the youth is out here looking for something to fight for, something to struggle for. So my main emphasis right now with my education and teaching people about referendums and plebiscites, and things like that, is the youth. They're the target. They're the main target, because now I'm starting to see a whole lot of young people in America. They're starting to identify with being Igbo and Biafran. I know a couple of young brothers now and a couple of young sisters now in America who are now subscribing to the Biafran struggle, and they are so into studying and educating themselves about referendums and how important a referendum is, because like you said, in this point in time, they have reduced the indigenous rights for self-determination. They have reduced it to a referendum, or what we call in America a plebiscite. Two different things, but the same thing. So my aim is to make referendums as popular as voting, because one thing about Black people, and even Black people in America, they are so entrapped and caught up in voting, which they should, because that's a birthright too. But some people are stuck on just voting for things that are not really going to free their people, if that makes sense. So this is why I always try to teach and educate people about the referendum for independence, so we can popularize that terminology. Like, no, voting goes as far as independence, because like I said, they try to separate the two. Like, oh, if you go too far and you want to vote for your people to have independence, oh no, you're wrong. You're over the line. That's now you're a terrorist. So now I gotta try to educate the young brothers and sisters that's coming behind us that no, you're not a terrorist because you want independence. You're not a terrorist because you want to vote in a referendum to decide your people's fate and their destiny and their purpose. You see what I'm saying? That's not terrorism. The white man did the same thing, except for he took it. You see what I'm saying? So I want brothers and sisters to learn about referendums and educate themselves about referendums in a positive light. So that's my basis right now, is to talk to as many young people and to teach as many people about referendums. That's my basis of the education that I'm teaching right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I also believe that if the whole Black people around the world can join in and support Biafra, because like we said earlier, Biafra is more like the key to unlock
Yes,
Africa. And it is so unfortunate that our oppressors know this, but our people, some of our people anyway, they don't know this. Now, as soon as Biafra become free, it will embolden every other Black man anywhere in the world to understand that this can be done. Because it
right.
appears like some of the time when we want to talk about our history, we have to be apologetic. It's like, hey, take it easy. Don't say it this way, because you're gonna offend this person or that person. I don't think so, because I'm talking about me. I'm not
Yes,
talking about you. As long as the history is factual, whatever I'm saying is what happened, and you can look it up and know that Britain came to my land in around 1914, take over my land, amalgamated me with the Fulanis. It's a reality. So why should I be afraid when I talk about it? It is my history. You know, they actually colonize us that when we want to talk about us, we got to be apologetic to talk about our history. And at the end of the day, we appear like people without history. I mean, if I can tell you something now, part of the reason of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine is because